Senate, and I'm very pleased to have her input on many of these bills that come out of our committee, Mr. President, and I yield the floor.
Mr. President.
The senator from New Hampshire.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you to Senator Landrieu for those nice words and also for your leadership. I think we all are indebted to Senator Landrieu and Ranking Member Snowe for their leadership of the Small Business Committee and their leadership in bringing forward this legislation that's before us, the Small Business Innovation Research Program. They worked very hard in the last session of Congress to get this bill through the Senate, and it would have gotten passed then, except that the House adjourned before taking it up. So I'm thrilled that we're getting back to it this early in this session. I think most of us recognize that our future economic prosperity depends on whether this country continues to be a leader in science and innovation. We can't compete with India and China and other third world countries for low-wage manufacturing jobs. That's not our future. America's future is to be the global leader in science and technology. America makes the best, most innovative products and services, and that ingenuity and excellence is our chief economic strength as a nation. Now, as a former small business owner, I understand that it is the private sector and business and not government that's responsible for most of the job creation in this country. But I also understand that government has a critical role to play in fostering the positive business climate that we need in this country to remain competitive. And I believe there are a few things that we can do through policy to unleash the innovative spirit that is so alive and well throughout this country, and particularly in my home state of New Hampshire. One of those policy initiatives that we can do that is central to maintaining the creative dominance that's allowed us to lead the world in innovation is to enact a long-term reauthorization of the Small Business Innovation Research Program, or the SBIR program. SBIR is not just a typical grant program. Under the SBIR program, a small business is able to compete for research that federal agencies need to accomplish their missions, agencies like the Department of Defense. Small businesses employ about 1/3 of America's scientists and engineers and produce more patents than large businesses and universities. Yet, small business receives only about 4% of federal research and development dollars. SBIR ensures that small business gets a tiny fraction of the existing federal research dollars. In the last few weeks, I visited 3 New Hampshire companies that are doing cutting-edge research because of the SBIR program. Those 3 are Arex in Somersworth, SBIR Semiconductor in Hudson, and Active Shock in Manchester. The research that they've done under the SBIR program has allowed them to develop new products, to add customers, and to hire new workers. In other words, create jobs. All 3 have done essential research for the Department of Defense. Arex, for example, has developed a state-of-the-art program to manufacture critical components for our nation's strategic missiles. This SBIR award positions them perfectly to compete and win a contract to manufacture motors for use in military programs and to commercialize their research. And they've been able to expand from a workforce of 10 to currently 25 workers since they got that SBIR award, and they're continuing to grow. In Hanover, New Hampshire, we have a company called Creari that's really a poster child for the economic benefits that can be reaped through the SBIR program. Senator Landrieu has talked on the floor about Qualcomm in San Diego. Well, we should put Creari in Hanover, New Hampshire in that same category as Qualcomm, because Creari can trace more than $670 million in revenues that they've earned through because of the SBIR program. They've produced spin-offs and technology licensees for the commercialization of its SBIR projects. Many New Hampshire small businesses have successfully competed for SBIR funding in the 28 years since the program has been in existence. All across New Hampshire, small businesses that otherwise would not be able to compete for federal R&D funding have won competitive SBIR grants that advance technology and science and create good jobs, what we all want to happen right now in this economy. In just the last 2 years, New Hampshire firms have won 80 SBIR awards, and in fact, despite its small size, New Hampshire is ranked 22nd in the country for the total grants awarded through the Department of Defense under the SBIR program. Now, as a senator from New Hampshire, I take particular pride in the SBIR program because it was New Hampshire Senator Warren Rudman who, back in 1982, sponsored the Small Business Innovation Development Act, which established the SBIR program. SBIR has a proven track record, and its cost, as Chair Landrieu has said so often on the floor, is minimal. CBO estimates that implementing this bill would cost only $150 million over the next 5 years, and most of that minimal cost would have zero impact on the budget. That's because what this bill does is establish a 3-year pilot program that authorizes participating agencies to use the same dollars they set aside anyway for SBIR research to pay for administrative costs. That means we won't be using general operating funds to pay for administrative costs. And this bill imposes no mandates on business and imposes no cost on state and local governments. We need to address the long-term deficit and debt in this country. Our colleague from Oklahoma just spoke very eloquently to the need to do that and what it's going to take. And we all know that. But the best way we can start dealing with the debt and deficit is through more robust economic growth. Objecting to the SBIR program, as some have done, on the grounds that we should be focusing on the deficit alone, makes no sense at all, because the jobs created by the SBIR program will lower the deficit. Just like stopgap budgeting is bad for business, so are stopgap extensions of the SBIR program. Unfortunately, SBIR has been operating under short-term extensions, 10 of them, since 2008. Short-term extensions are a problem because, as I hear and I know we all hear regularly from businesses, they need certainty in planning. This bill reauthorizes the SBIR program for 8 years. It's a reasonable period of time, and it will allow small business and federal agencies to effectively plan their research. Now, Mr. President, I know we've heard from some quarters, and it's become fashionable on the part of some people to say that this country's best days are behind us. But I don't believe that for one moment. As I've traveled around New Hampshire, I see cutting-edge innovators who are creating jobs. We here in the Senate know what needs to be done. We just need the will to do it. So I urge all of our colleagues to join Senator Landrieu, Ranking Member Snowe, the Small Business Committee, in voting to reauthorize and strengthen the SBIR program. Thank you very much, and I yield the floor. And note the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Akaka.